And go.
Hey, welcome back to Mobility Project. Staying with my personal running savior, Brian McKenzie. And I have to tell you a little backstory. If you didn't know about our relationship, I was the best athlete. I was the best athlete, well, on this square down here at San Francisco CrossFit for a long time. I might have been the only athlete on this square. And I was doing pretty good, and I was making good progress. But when I jogged to the dock, or jogged to the gate, I used jog because that's what I used to do. I used to jog. And I had crushing knee pain. And then enter my friend Brian McKenzie's like, you know, Cape Buffaloes run better than that. And I was like, what? And so I learned to run.
How rude.
I know. Bro, the shaman's blow. Brian McKenzie dropped the shaman's blow on me. And really part of the integral idea of this is that when you are in a bad position, you have pain. When you're in a bad position, your biomechanics tell you that you're in a bad position.
Where'd I hear if you're hurt, it wasn't functional?
Whoa, weird. How weird is that? Yeah, right. If you fail or are running and something hurts or you get hurt, that by definition is not a functional movement. Functional movements mean that when I collapse, I end up in a good position. This is aside. So I just want to give you this background about, I believe in this running position. And what we start to see is, the running position really reflects a lot of the mechanics we see when we're exercising. When Brian teaches, and hold me if I'm wrong, one of the things you cue is to relax hands. You're holding the potato chip. Is that right? Is that your cue?
Yeah. Hold the potato chip, holding a piece of paper between the thumb and the index finger.
Now I want to run like this. Is that right?
No.
What does this look like transposed? What do we call this? Shoulder position. Hey, what's your
What, bro?
what's your Fran time, bro?
What?
We call this the DB shoulder position, right? The Delta Bravo shoulder position, and we see this reflected all the time. When I have an athlete who cannot externally rotate in that bottom that position, because this is, in Shavasana. Come on in if you're getting a weird shadow. In Shavasana and yoga, to externally rotate the shoulder puts that capsule into a stable position. Remember, it's that rotational torque. It's that torsional stability by winding up that joint in the capsule that makes it stable. And now I don't have any soft tissue to account for. I'm not having to bounce up and down. My tissues aren't getting loaded for every time I take a step. And so what ends up happening is I get snug and I get a lot more of energy transfer. And so I have to be in this neutral position, which is kind of elbow in, right? So that I can run effectively. What we see is that athletes who are missing this position end up defaulting to the short pec. And what we've seen forever and ever is that people are like, oh, you're a runner, treat your pec minor. It's short, right? So go ahead and smash your pec minor. That's one of the areas. So the runner treats the dysfunction and then immediately goes back and runs like this, which is like a Ponzi scheme of movement dysfunction, right?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It's simple. So I've got to be in this position because my friend tells me that's an efficient place to run, and when I run here,
so that's it.
right, has nothing to do with your biomechanics or an efficient position, or that it relates to so many of the pulling positions or dipping positions we're in. But when we see this position, what do we do about it? And what ends up happening is athletes come across their body. What else do they do with this shoulder? They break. Oh, why did I herniate the disc in my neck? And now I'm just, I may be fast, but I'm not in an efficient position. And if you herniate your discs in your neck or trash your shoulder, that's not functional, right?
That's right.
So,
and that can translate all the way down.
what do you mean?
If I'm creating torque here because I'm completely flexed here, I'm going to make up with that here to come across. So now I've got this whole scheme going on. What? Why you got low back pain, dude?
So strange. Carl Powley talks about a push always comes with a pull. And so if I'm pulling, I'm going to have to push to compensate, right, versus being in this position. So here's a couple fixes for this shoulder. And this is such an easy fix. We talk about being locked off into neutral position, I'm braced, and then all I do is fall. Simple. So if I'm here, then my center of gravity is wrecked, and then I always usually have to compensate. So this is where Brian's saying is that we see this position. Now, this is the only place I can initiate my fall because I'm so far behind in my position that the falling is ridiculous. So I've got to be integrated and stable with the head in neutral position so that I'm just falling as I run. So take a look at this. Here's a couple ideas. One is that when we see athletes that are repeatedly in flexion, like, oh, you're a desk athlete and a runner, you end up in this position, or God forbid you cycle, which is like, whoa, that's tough, then we see stiff upper back. So a couple quick fixes. On the roller, jump on the roller, Brian. Back. Yeah, hit the thoracic spine. I'm just going to give you a little bit different tweak on this today. One, if I have a super friend, big wind up, and my friend is working with me, I can press right through his elbows. I'm just giving him some pressure, but he's always in charge. What's the safe word?
Brisket.
Brisket is the safe word. But he's rolling. I'm not pushing down. I'm just giving him the pressure. You certainly can hold a big ball, and then you'll notice he immediately started hunting for his dysfunction. He's looking for the ribs. He's back and forth. He's finding his corners. And as a super friend or a training partner, I'm laying on him. And if I was serious, I was just body slamming. BAM! Oh! Man, that just happened. Just right?
Stabilize right there.
So there's one idea. Second idea is go and put your arms over your head. I can hook in, lift your butt as high as you can. Now typically what we try to do is we anchor here and we mobilize from the top. This time we're going to go from the top down. So Brian can lift his butt up really high. I just grab his elbows and then he can lower his butt on top, and drag into that other position. Another way to work for an extension, and this is just from the other side. Very, very, very simple. Okay, so now we proved some ideas. 2 minutes, a minimum therapeutic dose. Got him into a little extension. Go ahead and lay on your back again. This shoulder tissue gets very stiff. And certainly, go ahead and pop off this for me. On your back. That shoulder tissue gets stiff. We need to work on that internal rotation. Barbell goes here. Go ahead and place that leg over the barbell. Now, he can go ahead and just tack through this anterior delt and through the bicep, which gets short. One of the things, what?
What, dude?
When we see athletes in these positions repetitively microloading, the tissues get stiff, trying to protect that position. If you want to undo the stiffness, let's take advantage of your full mechanics out of those kind of more rigid soft tissues, like the capsule, but still, run 100 miles and tell me you're not going to be stiff. It's impossible not to kind of have those compromises. So just anchoring across, Brian can put this exactly where he needs it. You're doing crazy horse eye on me. Nice. And now we've got a couple easy fixes. We've got a couple easy fixes to work on why I'm running this position. I improved that thoracic positioning, and I dealt with this lack of internal rotation, which is why my shoulders came forward in the first place. Make sense?
Makes total sense.
Because when you see people run, they're like, why don't you just run like this? What is the problem? And the problem is people can't get into the position. Restore position, restore function, improve position, improve function, right? Bam, that just happened. Thanks, boy. See you guys tomorrow.